Good afternoon, good citizens of Brockton. Today I have Brockton Area Multi-Service known as BAMSI. I have one of the head honchos. His name is Peter. Hi, yeah, Peter. This is your first time, I guess.
Yep.
Um, we just want you to tell us all about the different programs. Uh, when I was at your office, when we were talking, I noticed across the road there was a program that said BAMSI here for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, yeah, before we end the show today, I want you to elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to tell us what is BAMSI,
Mm-hmm.
when did they get started,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of programs do you have for handicapped, elderly, um, for people with kids? Because a lot of people don't know what BAMSI is. All they know is about the WIC. So, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Stephen. And first of all, let me say thank you so much for wearing the great hat that you've got on at the moment, which
Thank
is
you, sir.
our BAMSI hat, which actually was part of a Brockton Rocks celebration that we
Yes,
had
sir.
this year.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if you've had anybody on from the Brockton Rocks, but they are a
Not
great
yet.
group.
That's one group I want to get on, but uh, I got so many things going on. Like I did the Veterans Day Parade.
Yeah,
I did the Christmas parade. I did a veteran special in here
yeah,
where I did a slideshow
yeah,
with all the past veterans.
yeah,
I mentioned some of the MIAs
yeah,
that are missing
yeah.
in action. The on the Tomb of the Unknown
Mm-hmm.
Soldier, and I had like a slideshow. And towards the last part of the segment, I went get silent for like 20 minutes
Yeah.
to give.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that there are many things that are very close to your heart,
Oh yeah.
Stephen, and I appreciate that. I appreciate what you do for our community. And talking a little bit about BAMSI is something I love to do.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people only know about the WIC. They don't know about supportive living, in-house supports,
Yeah.
uh, about about group homes.
Right. I do think, Stephen, that that really depends on what service you're particularly using, right? And WIC is a good example, but I'll say a little bit about BAMSI. So BAMSI is an organization that has been around 50 years now.
Wow.
In
God
fact,
bless you guys.
we celebrated our half century this year, and we had a gala, and it was a lot of fun, and we had people from all over the community come and celebrate with us. And there were really pretty humble beginnings, the origins. We started off as an organization that provided a little bit of PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and some counseling as well for kids. And then we've sort of grown over the years. And I think we really own the multi-service word.
Yeah, you do.
I think so. And, oddly, Stephen, I actually, in another era in the early 90s, I worked for Boston Multi-Services. So I'm one of those few people that worked for two multi-service centers, very similar organization, but much, much smaller. Brockton relies a great deal on many of the services that we have. And I would also say it's not just the services we provide, but working with Brockton Neighborhood Health Centre, working with Father Bill's, working with other organizations who are healthcare oriented and human services oriented. It's something really important to us. So when somebody says, what do you do at BAMSI? It's like, well, how long have you got? And I always think about what my elevator speech is about and what, if I have a bit longer time. So I like to think of us as the sort of cradle to elder service system, right? So there is a place in our service system for everybody, for every human being, whether it be WIC, as you mentioned before, which is a big program of ours. We have a program in Brockton and actually in Quincy, where we provide nutrition and support for women, parents who have had babies. So it's really a nutritional program that's supported by the federal government. You might have heard that some of those payments were in danger when the government shut down some 2 months ago or
I
something.
keep track on that, especially where I'm a client of BAMSI,
Yeah.
and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm in the individual supports, and that part where staff come in and help you with grocery shopping. I'm not afraid when people ask me where I'm, what group I'm with, and I'm not afraid to say I'm proud to be a BAMSI client.
Right.
And they look at me like, really?
Well, we're
You don't look like you're a BAMSI client.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I am.
well, we're very proud to have you as part of our system and what we do, and you're very important to us.
Well, I've been with BAMSI. If you remember Rick Youngberg, he brought me into the agency back in '89.
A bit of history there.
Yeah, and I started out at the Avon House,
Yeah.
and then later I got into my own apartment. And then back in '96, a gentleman by the name of Bob LeBeau was manager of Avon. And me and my wife approached and told them that we wanted to get married. They were supportive. They asked if there was anything that they could do to help out. And so BAMSI to me has been a lifeline for everything.
Well, you're probably telling a better story of BAMSI than I can, Stephen.
Well,
and so let's talk about individual supports for a little bit.
All right.
What's your definition of the work that we do?
Well, to me, I always thought BAMSI was a label. I thought all clients would get labeled like in a prison. Your prison number is.
Wow.
I always thought we were labeled. And I always told people that. Oh, no, when you come into BAMSI, you're just a number. If you pass away, they write you off. They don't care about you. But then over years, I learned BAMSI is much more than that.
I hope so.
BAMSI is a lifeline for parents who have a disabled child.
That's right.
And don't know about the disabledness of the child.
Right.
GDS, which is another part of the state, is tied into BAMSI, which pays BAMSI for taking care of that person.
That's right.
So my outtake of BAMSI is, it's there, it's a lifeline, and that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So you being the top dog, you would have more insight on individual supports, group homes, outings that you guys do with the clients. You guys just had a Christmas party.
We did.
That was outstanding.
It was a lot of fun.
What makes BAMSI invite clients get to their office parties? Because that's only for your workers.
No.
I had thought over the years, I said, but Cecelia would say, I'm going to a Christmas party, so don't bother calling me, and it's all about the workers.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, I've seen that you guys were inviting clients, and
We've made a big change in that, Stephen, and I strongly believe that the reason that we exist at BAMSI is to serve our person served, is to provide comfort for those people, and also not just think of people as a number. And I've got to say, I flinched when you said that.
that's what I always thought.
Yeah, but it's really about, some of our biggest initiatives are about friendship, are about how are people connected in the community? What is the faith-based community doing to help with people? How do we get people involved in the community? Because I'll take you back a bit, Steve, because let's go to the 1970s even. I, in another job, was responsible for Taunton State Hospital, right? And Taunton State Hospital had 3,500 people in that facility.
Wow.
And they never left. And they worked in making shoes and making keys. And I always think, why would you have people make keys in a place that is locked? You know, there was no humanity there.
Right.
And then people would die and they would be in unmarked graves.
Yeah.
We have, over the last 30, 40 years, had transformational moments in the way that we care for human beings. We lead with humanity. We make sure that people have as much of an experience of life as they can, right? And you mentioned community outings. We should be out in the community all the time with people, allowing them to have those experiences.
Well, I noticed BAMSI used to have a bowling league.
A bowling league.
That was every Friday. And that's when Bob Gillabo, no, that's when Rick Youngberg was in charge. We also went to Camp Kawani with Bob Gillabo, set it up, where group homes came, but they gave you money just to help out with the food for like 2 weeks. We were gone. We lived in cabins. We did big events. I noticed over the time that Camp Kawani disappeared. The BAMSI Bowling League disappeared on Friday nights. And now there's nothing for clients to actually do at events that were related to BAMSI.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. When are we going to get our bowling league back? When are we going to do this? When are we going to go to Camp Kawani? And I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, I don't know about Camp Kawani. I'm not.
It was in Hampton. It was a campground that had, it was a state park.
Right. You know, I think, Stephen, just to sort of hover over that for a minute, you know, we have our person-served advisory board that that is responsible for, helping us as staff in a direction that supports them. And it's a very, very involved and vigorous group, and they're asking those questions. Our outings are much more sort of house related now.
Right,
so, we might go and see the Brockton Rocks, for instance, or go in and spend a fortune at the Red Sox or something like that. So it's much more sort of small events. But, I think it's a good idea to talk about what, if we stop doing something, we should always be thinking about
I know
what we should do in the future.
When I first came into BAMSI, one of the founders of BAMSI had a human rights board.
Yep.
And I was asked to be on it. But time has passed, and I don't even know if I'm still on the human rights board or not.
Well, we have a very strong human rights board.
Because I used to be on it. I used to be able to go to all the meetings. You guys have a BAMSI day treatment right before Brockton Hospital.
Yeah.
And we used to meet there. We used to even have apartment meetings every so often to see what we're going to do for the next, plan out our trips and all that. And that was with Rick, that was with Rick Youngberg. We had an all apartment meeting for group homes, individual supports, and we haven't done that in ages.
Well, the Human Rights Board, just to be clear, meets on a regular basis. We're actually duty bound to do that. So it's a very rigorous Human Rights Board, and it hears complaints and it hears ideas about what people should do.
But tell us a little bit more about the outreach programs that you guys have.
So, obviously, as I said at the beginning of this, we work with a lot of different populations, and we rebranded a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And so that it was easier for people to understand. So we have 4 brands. We have BAMSI Kids, which I want to get to. We have BAMSI Community, which are many of our clubhouses and adult day treatment, that kind of thing.
Right.
We have BAMSI Health, which is our healthcare service that oversee all of our residential homes. We also have harm reduction programs. We have HIV and AIDS case management programs. But the majority of what we do is actually in residential work. We have about 90 different homes that really go from Holden, Framingham, Worcester, all the way down to the Cape.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right. And we provide services for those people, and that's about 500 people in that system in residential care. And I will take a minute just to say that we also do high medical need homes for people with developmental disabilities. So we have people who have very, very fragile medically, and so we have a big nursing
Yeah,
staff.
I
who
know
looks
of
after those
one that's
people.
on. I know of one that's on Battle Street.
Right.
I think it's called the North Side House.
Yep.
That's what it was called. I
Yep.
don't know if it's still called that.
Yeah.
And that has a ramp with wheelchair
That's right.
bound
That's right.
people.
Yeah, so that's a big part of our business. We also do day-hab as well for people with developmental disabilities. And that's really where people go for occupational therapy, friendship, fellowship, but also a lot of sort of learning and cooking and those kind of things. And then on the mental health side in our community, we have our clubhouse, which is where people come to clubhouse. They have serious mental illness, but they participate in how the clubhouse is run in terms of food, in terms of
You used to
janitorial
have one on the
services.
east side,
That's
over
right.
by Shaw's East, and then that's where the Maple Alleys were. That's where the movie theater was.
Yeah, that's right.
And that clubhouse over there, I don't know if it's still there or not, but
Yeah,
I used to go over there once in a while when I would be over there shopping.
yeah.
Just stopping. Hi
Yeah,
guys, how
yeah,
are you?
Yeah, it's a great program. And then we have adult day treatment, which is more of a clinical program
Yeah.
for people with mental illness. And so there's a lot of services for people with developmental disabilities and mental
Now,
health. But
what does DDS have to do with BAMSI?
So the DDS is actually a state department. It's one of
Okay.
it's run by the Executive Office of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
And that secretariat looks at Department of Mental Health, Department of Children and Families, Department of Developmental Disabilities. So that's one of the several departments that look after people who have specific issues. And so DDS has the largest budget in the state of all of those departments because of the ongoing residential services that we provide. And they fund us. And every couple of years, they meet to work out what rates that we're going to get paid for providing these services. And those services go from high medical need to basic homes. So really, they are the funder, but they're also the licenser. So we have to prove to them that the work that we're doing is correct, right? Is humane, is properly staffed, that the training that our staff is right for the work that they're doing. So they play a big role, and they're really the line to the state tax dollars, if you like.
I remember when Bobby first started, we would get, Bobby would come in, because Bobby's been with us for 7 years. He worked with me and another client, Gay Wyman. And he'd come in and say, Cecelia told me to ask you guys. We got allocated money from the fiscal budget. Yeah, what do you guys need? You need a new bed? You need a new mattress? Do you need new clothes? You need new stuff for the kitchen? And we would tell them what we would need, and they would send staff with us to go to Walmart and buy the stuff.
Yeah.
Cecelia would take us to Jordan's to get the furniture, pick it out, pick a date to have, so we'd be at the house when they came with the furniture. And that was money that was allocated through the state, that was from the fiscal budget. And that was, I want to say, 7 years ago. And we haven't seen it since. So I have friends in BAMSI. I have some of the clients who are friends to me, and they're asking me, and I'm like, Wyman even asked me, he goes, when are we going to get the fiscal budget? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it doesn't exist like that anymore, as I said before, but it happens in terms of what need is. So within that rate, there is built in all of those different things. So you just get one rate to provide the service now.
So say if a client needs new clothes, and the clothes he has are all torn and tattered, how how can BMZ help those people get those kind of clothes?
I mean, I think it depends if somebody is receiving services that are community-based, right? If there's somebody who is a member of our clinic, for instance, and really haven't got too far with the description of services at BAMSI, but for instance, we have a clinic where people come and they receive therapy, right? And then we bill insurance for that. So we wouldn't be able to help that person with a clothing allowance because all we do is provide that service for people. Right. And that's true for Clubhouse as well, and it's true for ADT, for adult day treatment. But in the residential homes, that's what I was talking about before.
Right.
There is
the group homes.
And we're doing that all the time with people, but we're doing it in the homes. Wow. So it depends where you come into the system, really, Stephen, in terms of how we support. Because if somebody's in our residential homes, they're 100% dependent upon the care that we give.
Yeah.
And of course, the guardians and parents and people are also involved in that process.
Yeah, well, some of the clients I know were their own guardians, and I know some of them have parents who are their guardians.
Yeah.
How do the parents or the sisters or brothers that are guardians of clients, how do they approach BAMSI, and how do you guys help get them with any services?
Yeah, so they're first of all, for people who are guardians, their family can be guardians, but many of the people are guardians, and they're overseen by a separate organization. Their name is Sneezer, and I can't remember what it stands for, but all they do is manage the funds of people. So, and in some ways that's good, because I don't want our staff being the people that manage the funds.
Well, at one time, BAMSI did manage the money. They did give the clients allowances each month.
But those allowances are still available, but they're not managed by BAMSI. And we're getting into the weeds a little bit here.
But I'm saying that's when I first came in, BAMSI was in control of the SSI money.
And on a personal level, I don't think that's a good idea, because the care and the money should be separate, if you ask me. So that's, sort of how we've done it. So we've talked a little bit about residential services. We've talked a little bit about our day hub services.
Right.
But we also have some specialist services as well.
Like what?
For people in our community. Well, harm reduction, for instance, with people who struggle with the disease of addiction. We provide homeless services and recovery services both in Plymouth and in Brockton at our COPE program. And our COPE program is literally just around the corner from here. It's the Community Outreach Prevention program, which really looks at helping people who are struggling with addiction to get services that they need in a way that's harm reduction. The idea of harm reduction is not just saying you have to stop, like Nancy Reagan said in the 1980s, just don't do it or whatever. This is really about helping people through that journey. And we have a wonderful group of people who work with those folks. So there are very specific services that we provide. We also provide services for young people who are trans and helping them, because the suicide rate for people who are trans is way, way higher than anybody else. So our reach, and of course HIV services and AIDS services that BAMSI has done really since the 1980s, when nobody else wanted to do that work.
Do you do anything for clients who are, or that have parents who were veterans?
Is
there any sort of, like me, my father was a veteran.
Right.
All right. Do you have any services for those kind of people, like, that want to get your BAMSI, that really are veterans? Because I see a lot of veterans out on the street today.
Yeah. Well, as I said before, our COPE program, which is our homeless outreach program, is available for those folks. Our clinic as well sees people who are veterans, and they have a specific kind of health care insurance that we take.
Right.
And so, yes, and many of our clinicians have been through the home-based training, which is through Mass General and the Red Sox, for working with veterans, so that we have an appreciation for knowing what PTS, what post-traumatic stress is and how it manifests itself. So yeah, and then of course within the Brockton area there's the VA, who is a real specialist hospital, and they do some wonderful work as
Yeah.
well. And so partnering them.
Give my
was important.
father, give my stepfather, when I would go and see him, he would say, I would say, Dad, how are the veterans treating you, the Veterans Hospital? Oh, they're super. I love them. They're there to help me if I need to get transportation, even though he drove. There was sometimes he couldn't
Right.
because of his dementia.
Yeah.
And I tried to get him in to get BAMSI, and it was just,
Yeah.
all right, well, Peter, I thank you for coming on. But before we end the show, I do a special thing. I give thanks to the guest. I show my thanks by giving a certificate of appreciation. To the citizens of Brockton, you just heard what Peter has to say. He's with BAMSI. Do you want to give out the number to the outreach programs that they could?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do, Steve, is tell people thank you for listening, and thank you to Brockton for allowing us to be such a part of Brockton's history and in terms of looking after vulnerable populations. Most people have the internet now, or access to the internet. A full description of our services are available if you go to www.bamsi, that's BMSI.org. And when you go to the website, you will see those specific departments. For instance, BAMSI Kids is very descriptive of somebody who's looking for kids service that they can look under kids. So I would ask people to explore the website. That you can also donate to us there, but you can also find out where our services are and what's available.
Okay, great. This is my way of saying thank you. This is for the BAMSI.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll put this in a frame and we'll put it in the office.
Yeah, I do this, and I have to thank Brockton Community Access for allowing me to do this. As I told you, I did 2 episodes when I was running for counselor at Year Lodge. And I asked the guy who did the show, I said, what's this cost? He goes, Steve, it's free. Even BAMSI can come on and have their own TV show.
Yeah.
So that would be something you could think about because it's free. You guys can have like a little show here. You can talk about different services and everything.
I would say if anybody has the chance on YouTube or SoundCloud, we actually do have a show, a podcast that goes out every couple of weeks called Humanity First. So that's available on all streaming services.
Okay, cool. Well, again, to Brockton citizens, this is Stephen, and it's Cecilia's TV show. And when I say that name, that was the name of my late grandmother. Mm-hmm. And this is my way of honoring her. Mm-hmm. She's the one that got me into BAMSI.
That's lovely.
Because she didn't know what to do. Yeah. So, to the citizens of Brockton and to DDS and to Brockton area multi service, I just want to say thank you for your services, and we'll be seeing you on the next set of, I guess, my show when I interview Michael Capiello from the Capiello Gym.
Nice.
So goodbye, folks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.